Okay, need some lighting. Let's see. Fix my hat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's not quite 5:11 yet, but I do need some more lighting. Let me see. Hold on. I'll do some more lighting. Some lighting here. And hopefully that should be a touch of the best. Okay, yeah, that's much better. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Tea Time with Kitty. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Giving everyone a chance to get all logged in. I am wearing my 75 hat for the year of 75. I have several of them. I have a Taurus season, something to get ready. So as we prepare to get ready to go into the month of May, which is my birth month, and I want to make sure you can see me. And before I go into that, let's see something. Before I go into that, I do want to give a great big birthday shout out to my nephew CJ. He turned he's turning well, he has turned 6 as of today, and on he will be celebrating his birthday on this upcoming Sunday. So most of the invites have already went out and are all ready to go, and we're all ready to celebrate. I'm going to cater for him. I ain't saying I'm a cater, but I can feed the family. So we're about to get ready to go. Hey, sis, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining me each and every Wednesday and not finding it robbery to join me each and every week. So again, I just gave a birthday shout out to my nephew as well as happy birthday to all the Tauruses. As we are now currently into Taurus season. Next month, I'll be kicking off my birthday month, as well as prom season and graduation season. Some of May is like my funnest month. Hey, sis, also with Mother's Day. So today's topic is talking communicating? Is talking communicating? So while we're still waiting for a few other people to log on, I just want you all to get to thinking about that. Hey, Shamika, is talking communicating? We're going to just let that kind of resonate inside of us, so that we can have some good discussion and dialogue as to is talking truly communicating. All right, we all know that talking and communicating is different, has its different definitions. But today we're going to be talking about talking versus communicating in your relationship, right? So we know that we have several types of relationships. We have relationship with our jobs, relationships with our parents, relationship with our children, as well as other friends and family members. But today we're going to be talking about the importance of couple therapy, right? So we're going to be talking about the importance of talking versus communicating and why couple therapy is so important. So I was still just waiting for some to get joined in and we're getting warmed up. I would like if anyone want to drop in the chat. And remember, I know that some people tell me that they're not able to comment in the chat based on how they're set up. But you can always send me your question, your comment, or your answer to my cell phone at 202 758 8941. And as always, just praying over tea time that we'll keep all the weirdos away, right? So when you think about talking versus communicating, thank you, Donna. When you think about talking, and again, we're talking about relationships, we know that we can take this topic into all different types of relationships, but right now we're talking about couples, we're talking about significant other, right? Is talking really communicating, right? So while you all are getting, I see we have one in the chat. Let me go to that one real quick. Only if we're actually actively listening to understand one another, right? And that's why I want to talk about that because the key is if we are actively listening, meaning that we're receiving it, we're taking it in, and we can get a healthy outpour, right? So not just so much as taking it in, but that we can release what we're trying to say by and get it out. So with me, I feel that everyone that's able to talk are not communicating. And I think that when you get to a point in your relationship where it becomes communication barriers, I feel that we should be open to having couple therapy. We really should be open to having couple therapy, right? Let's see, talking, I'm just yapping about many things, but when communicating, we listen to hear other, right? So just talking. So that's a really good point, right? So when do you know when you're transitioning from just talking to actually communicating, or just communicating back to just talking? Because I think that is so important. And I guess I want to ask anyone, has anyone on here been to couples counseling, couples therapy, anything of that nature? Because that's where I'm going at with it. I think that sometimes in our life, we need a mediator when we're dealing with things, because sometimes we only hear what we want to hear. We only respond the way we know how to respond. So, is there anyone on here who has ever had any type of couple therapy, any type of um, couple, what was it, couple therapy or couple sessions? I know some people do it on a religious realm, some people have to have it I'm sorry, before they are married. So I just want to hear from you all today. Have anyone ever took advantage of anything far as couple therapy, relationship therapy, anything where it's just you, your spouse, and your and I would say like a mediator in a sense. I definitely believe in couple therapy. I tried it when I was married. Very important, very important. So tell me about that. What do you feel that it was beneficial? Beneficial. I haven't, but we've been blessed to be married 18 years. Oh, happy anniversary! Happy anniversary! Wow. Okay. So how do you? So without being too deep, because we don't want to be too deep, because we're just taking it in for information purposes. How do you come to? Maybe you can help me out with the word. How do you come to the point that you want to get across, or to be able to move where you want to move, and kind of just like get over the situation or fix the situation? Like, what are some techniques that you use, staying away from it being too personal or too private, but just what are some techniques that you use to be able to implement those things, to implement that constant healthy balance? And let's see, because I want to know, do you all feel that it works? So we're going to come back to the talking and the communicating piece, but we want to know, do it work? I am big on mediation, like the same type of mediation with someone would be having with a child support hearing, or if they would be having with a divorce, if they was having, if they was going through arbitration for their job. I'm just really big on people having a mediator, because it really keeps a balance, and it kind of helps you focus on the points, and it helps you stay on line with what you need to be doing. So if you could definitely tell us some things that you think may have worked, that have worked after 22 years. And just responding back to someone in the chat. Okay, it didn't work, but could have if we both parties were serious about it. But I believe that in any significant relationship, it does work. Okay, so you're optimistic too. You just think that the person has to kind of like buy into it, right? So how do you all feel? I want to go back to some young people. How do you feel? And Don, I'm just going to kind of call on you here. How do you feel about at your age group? How do you feel about relationship therapy? Hey sis, I would so sis. The topic is talking, communicating, and we're discussing the importance of couple therapy, relationship therapy. And I was trying to think of the name for the one that they do on a religious level that a lot of pastors will give prior to someone being married. So that's where we at with it. But I'm going back to Donald, because Donna, I want to hear from you. At your young age, if you just been, well, you been a male for one, and then at your premarital, thank you so much, premarital counseling. Okay, we'll come back to Donna. With your young age, how do you feel about counseling? Would you be open to someone stepping into your relationship? And I honestly, well, thank you, sis. I would honestly like to say that I wouldn't want it to be someone that I know, but because I know that I am so dominant, if it was my relationship, I would want it to be a male, because I do feel like it's easy for females to kind of sway with one another, even though sometimes we are right. But I think that we sway with one another, and we sometimes tell each other what we want to hear. So, Donna, what do you think at your age? would you be open to some type of counseling if you were in a relationship? And in order to save your relationship, would you be open for counseling? And I know I've heard with premarital, um my pastor, when he was living, if you didn't pass his premarital, he would not marry you. He was really big on, if you did not get through that session. I agree, I prefer a male counselor, right, because I know that I have a very dominant personality, so I know that it would need to be some balance. The last thing I would need is a hype person over there telling me something else. Okay, so okay, so you went to like five counselors. Were they religious counselors, or it was just kind of like open, not just like because yours was not just premarital, right? It was just like counseling as a whole, right? Because the thing about it is, the reason why talking versus communicating is, it has a big barrier between the two, because the thing about talking is, if there's not a resolution for what you're talking about, it really doesn't go anywhere, right? So you find yourself over and over and over talking about the same things, the same behaviors. You often get very frustrated, very overwhelmed, and there's no effective communication, because the communication piece is, we both are supposed to be able to voice our opinions, hear the other person out, but most importantly, move on about the relationship. And I think that in order for someone to take it seriously, to truly take the relationship seriously and want that type of thing, and they have to be open and honest, right? Because it may not only be premarital, because I know my pastor wouldn't marry people that he didn't feel was ready, but it could just be a relationship where sometimes it may take someone else to tell you that, hey, you all are not a good fit. No matter how much you love each other, no matter how great you may think your sex life is, no matter how you think your finances come together, you all just may not be a good fit. And sometimes that hurts, and it makes people avoid from going to get the help and the services that they need because of that, right? Um, were okay, two were Christian counseling. They definitely has to be action behind the session. AK definitely action behind the session. Um, okay, so we have someone just chiming in, just saying that they learned a lot from their spouse, a whole lot from their spouse. Their spouse taught them about communicating, having a healthy relationship. And I'm just going to pause there, because this was really deep. And just not communicating, how people sometimes can go to sleep when they're mad at each other and not talk it out. But let me just say this: that is a very key piece that someone just shared, because the key word was taught them a healthy relationship. So how can one teach one a healthy relationship if they have no idea what a healthy relationship is, or what a healthy relationship looks like, right? That was a really good point. So we're going to touch on that in just a second. We're going to read a few other comments, but just think about it. Are you in a healthy relationship? Meaning, are you healthy, right? And if you are not healthy for whatever reason, does it could be for various reasons. Could have been trauma, could have been losing someone, could have been so many different things. But are you looking for a relationship with someone that's healthy, right? Because if you are unstable and the person are unstable, how could that come together as such a great union, right? Um, Let's see. I think I would be open because it helps me grow and just learn how to keep the relationship strong. It's great for the communication instead of throwing stuff at one. Definitely. And Donald, that's it right there. That's it. Like every time I think about them, I just think about how, even though I'm dominant, right? But I just think about the sponge of the things that my sons, it's one thing for your daughters to get stuff from you, but to have that type of femininity that I didn't even know I had, that can be passed on to my sons, where they're not these macho type of guys, but they have feelings, they have emotions, and they are able to absorb it and put it back out, because that's so important. I would want someone to guide us, because even if it doesn't mean that we will be together down the line, right? But it will mean that I would have learned something else to take somewhere else, right? I would have learned something else. So I am not an arguer. And part of the reason why I don't like to argue is because I argued a lot coming up, right? And I've definitely have anger issues and all types of things going on, right? So because of that, I choose not to argue, because I know in my past life, before I practice better behaviors, I would be the one who would say anything out my mouth, right? And words hurt, right? So now I refuse to allow anyone to say anything out of my mouth, out of their mouth to me that's not welcoming, because I know that my mouth is like a pistol, right? So if I start aiming, ain't no telling where the bullet's gonna touch at, right? Because I've said some of the most horrible things. So I don't like I don't think I'm the best communicator. So although I do like to talk a lot, it doesn't mean that I'm the best communicator, because I do have preconceived notions already in my head of how things should be done, what should happen. So I know that I am one that needs my topic and conversations agenda style, like what's next, what's going, what, because that's very important, because I want help for me thinking that I got all the answers. I definitely want help for that, right? But what does help look like, and knowing when help is coming in such a safe space? So let's see. We got 100. We got the hand clap. I hate arguing, constructive conversations only. Right. So so if you all are open or not to doing these sessions, going to the therapeutic sessions, what do you all think about when you're having a discussion with your spouse by creating an agenda, right? And this is what we're talking about. But so many people have so much anger in them that they can't even allow their agenda to really go forth, right? They cannot allow their agenda to go forth. So we really need to pay attention to the audience, right? So it's the same thing where we were in a corporate meeting, a business meeting, work related, dealing with the kids' school. We have to make sure we stay agenda based. Like, it's very, very, very important to stay agenda based and what that really looks like, right? So being able to communicate, and removing some of the emotions, because the worst thing you can do is try to communicate with someone that you're angry with. Not only that you're angry at that minute, but if you're just angry with the overall person, because I know that if you get upset with me, whether in a relationship, whether outside a relationship, I know that I am so irritating, right? So irritating. So I know that if you're upset with me, I'm so playful that it's hard for me to kind of really flip the switch and be like, hey, this is something serious now. How do I deal with this? Because I choose to play and not really deal with what's going on. But I think the key part is, no matter how much you love someone, how much it hurts, if you can have those long, healthy relationships, and I've seen them in my church, I've seen them with friends, if you can have those long, healthy relationships, they honestly do mean everything. They do mean everything. But we also have to be honest with ourselves when it's not, right? We definitely, so I think that if you really love someone and you really care about someone, before calling it quits, I think that you should try different steps to work it out. Now, if the person is not willing to work it out with you, you can't kind of move forward with it, then you're in a place where you just have to kind of make a blind decision, because all of the information is not present, right? I won't do agendas, but I would definitely set arguments before starting. For example, we don't interrupt, we don't throw darts at one another, etc. Okay, so I like that. And I also heard on a show, a relationship show, where they were saying that you should set a time, um, another set of group, right? That you should set a time to have discussions, right? So let's start there. If you are dealing with some rocky situations, then they come and go. They come and go. But I do honestly believe that when situations arise, especially when they're ones that constantly revisit itself, I do feel like those are definitely some issues. So although we put them aside a lot, it doesn't mean that the issue has already been addressed. Now, for me, I'm the type of person that if we're having an issue with something, I can't just pick back up. We can't argue Friday, and then Saturday we can just kiss. So I am going to speak with you. I am going to talk to you, right? Because it's important to communicate with your spouse, but I still need to move on from where I was, because I don't wouldn't want it to be want it to not be genuine. Okay. I'm late, y'all. It's busy today. Hey y'all. Hey Nini. So we're just talking about, is talking communicating, right? And just how when and we also talked to some people who are married or have been married. They talked about going to therapy. One person has a really long marriage history and have not had therapy. Some of us have had therapy, and just talking about how it's very important that both spouses are involved, because you have to be invested. Let me tell you this. If it's you, you need to be invested in your relationship. If you truly want 20 some years, right? You have to be invested, because People are going to make mistakes. They're going to get on your last nerve. They're going to give you attitude. You're going to give them attitude. You have to be invested. Once you're invested, your spouse has to be invested. If your spouse is not invested and going wherever you want your relationship to move, it's not about power struggling or not bossing around. It's just that I care so much about you that although you did this for the second, third time, I'm still willing to work with you and move on from it, right? And then if I'm not willing to work with you, I need to say, hey, I'm a very low tolerance person. I can't deal with this. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here on the two good legs that God gave me, and I'm on to the next one, right? So Mimi, what is your take as it relates to, oh, you already started typing. Okay, exactly. Plus, even when you were lying, okay, because even when you were lying then out, you're lying now. Oh, even if you were lying there, lying now, if you told me you were okay, you may get one more ass. And I'm not dealing, but once we talk, I'm receiving, hold on, I might have read that all wrong. Once we talk, I'm receiving the information. Once we talk with it, but let me tell you, most people that's into therapy, most people into working techniques are people that's working to save the relationship. So again, make sure that you're healthy, right? Do whatever you need to do to make sure you're getting your health and shrimp, because you may say, hey, let's go to therapy, and they may tell you you need therapy. Well, I do, but right now I'm trying to work on this with us. I need a lot of things. I need a Range Rover. I need a single family home. I need good health and strength. I need Jesus to keep blessing me. But we need a lot of things. But right now, this is for me and you. So even you value it and you're going to put everything you have into it, or you don't value it and you won't. So let's move on a little bit and let's just talk about, when we talk about healthy relationships. I really love that when I got that text. I really love that healthy relationship, because we are sometimes in the most unhealthy relationships, and some of them have lingered on for years, right? So some of them have really lingered on for years. So you have to constantly give yourself affirmations and not hide from the fact if someone really loves you or are for you, right? You really have to give yourself, if someone is for you or really for you, because people operate in unhealthy relationships all the time. And I'm gonna tell you, I will. Hey Tony, look, just about to say, I remember we was in Vegas and we had that long table conversation with all us talking. Mika, you was there as well. Both Mikas, as a matter of fact. And I think that you have to make sure that the person is right for you to invest all of that in. I truly admire people. Now, I'm not saying date around and sleep around and all those types of things, but I truly admire people who really, really, really want to invest in what they want and not rush for anything. Let's see. I have a text coming in, and then I'll come back to y'all on the thread. Hold on, let's see. Sometimes therapists, sometimes therapists for couples will recommend solo therapy. True, true. Hey, sister, that's definitely sometimes true. So let's see. I will recommend individual counseling before couple counseling. Okay, okay. But what if you're already in a relationship? Because like I did mine through like our Anova pod, but I know that I need some more additional one. But I think that they're equally important. I mean, I think that maybe you should run them concurrently because I think that they are equally important. Let's see. No, I'm saying if you said you were okay on Monday, then Thursday come and you wanna have a whole spill, you weren't true. Oh, got right, right, because you never know how somebody is feeling on the back end. Hey, sister, we are so jacked up, sis. We need to work on ourselves before trying to partner up, and that could be so much of the truth. So, right. So, Tony, you're on. We want to hear about you. How do you feel from the male perspective, right? Do do you feel like people should do couple counseling, um, or they should be dealing with individual self first? I have another text coming in. Um, you might find that there's something in you that's drawing you to dysfunctional, that is an unhealthy relationship. Okay, so the person on the phone just said they think solo is important too. So y'all got me. I'm buying it with y'all. They think that solo is important because they said that when you're in solo, you may learn what it is that keep pulling you to dysfunctional relationships. What it is that keep pulling you to dysfunctional relationships. We are okay. Got that. I did counseling when I was single to prepare me for being in a long-term relationship. I think people, you're right. Okay, so Tony's with me. I think people should do both because it's one thing if you haven't connected with someone and you're in that season where you're just working on yourself. But once you're in that season with someone, I think that your trauma, if you're really trying to go far with these people, I think that we should be transparent with our trauma, to a degree, because sometimes people use things against you at the end. But I think that there should be some transparency so that we can get to the core of our problems. Because I truly believe that some of the things that happen in our past would never truly be fixed. I honestly believe that some of the things in our past will never honestly be fixed and will never go away. So sometimes we have to learn to coexist with one another because our trauma is not going anywhere. Yeah, we put a band-aid on it. Some of the band-aids that cost a little more money last longer than others. But with all band-aids, they're going to either come off or if you shower enough, it's going to wash off, right? So we need to be doing something different. Once you start working on yourself, you may also realize that you don't need to be in that relationship. And that's why it's so important to kind of coexist. Because if you're going to dump me, don't wait until we got all this good therapy together. Dump me right up front. Dump me before we get started. Let's see. Um, you might find that there is something in you that's drawing you to this one. Okay, I think I got that one. Unhealthy relationship. Okay, I got that piece. Right. So it's very important that we are examining ourselves, but I think it's very important that the person that we choose cares so much about us that they're going to go with us along the way. I want somebody to take like because like I know I got my flaws. I can write down my flaws quick. But I also know, no offense to anybody when I give my rundown, because this is no offense to anyone and no shade. I know that I don't prostitute. I know that I don't do drugs. I know that I don't do alcohol. So I've seen plenty of prostitutes married, strippers married, alcoholics married, drug abusers, user married, women with umpteen numbers of kids married. So it's very important, woman or man, that you put yourself front and be like, yeah, I'm a piece of work. I'm a piece of work, right? But the fact remains that I'm worth the work, right? Because I don't just come to the table with a chair. I come to a table with a whole plate and some side orders, right? So it's very important that when you're connecting with one another that you understand that this person is valuable to me for whatever reason, because even though they may not be the one, with the right therapy and support from that person and a clinical professional, they may can be able to become the person, right? Because people with a lot of money do it all the time. They don't know if they like each other. They just know that my money's long enough and your body's nice enough and we're going to come together. um let's see. You can't fix the past trauma, but sometimes counseling can help you learn how to cope. Right. So that's what I mean about coping. And the person needs to be able to be by your side through the coping process. Facts, that's why you have to have honest communication about your past, and of course you're going to always protect it, and not, totally be vulnerable because sometimes that takes time because I've seen people use some of the most tragic situations against someone, but at the same time, we do want to be able to build trust, so we can't go totally into the relationship with lies. Um, okay, someone says, "Why wait to be done? Done thing right, right." Therapy won't help you settle. They said therapy won't help you settle. Um, let your partner know how you're working through. Someone had working through them. Let me tell you, someone had on Facebook, and it must have been about a month or two ago, and not just women but men too. And the girl said, this female said, she said, y'all with these guys that really don't like y'all, right? And it doesn't mean like some of you all they may love you, right? But watch that. I say that on the show because when she said that like, and it doesn't mean that like malice, but like it just could be something about you, some light, like how I'm always talking about. Sometimes people can't truly love you because so many people is loving on you, like, oh my God, I ain't loving her. There's already 100 people over there loving her. So that is so true. Watch your partner. I know women are really big on being creative, but let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I am big on taking good care of anybody around me, not just my spouse, not just my parents, not just my kids, of course, my grandkids, but I am big on showing my love and affection to everyone I come in contact with. Yeah, same with jealousy, right? Same with jealousy, definitely. Same with jealousy. But let me tell you, if you notice with anybody, and this is not on an equal accord because we're not doing it by value by no means. I'm not saying if he bought you a Fendi bag, you got to get him the Fendi shoes. I'm saying overall, if you are in a relationship and you are the only person being the giver, and this is not just financially, I'm talking about the little things, I'm in a relationship with a big strong burly man, but I still got to carry all the clothes to the laundromat, right? So I'm not just saying the material, but if you are in a situation, any situation where someone's not depositing into you, I am not going to say run, but I'm going to say get some therapy because it is not good and it's very, very embarrassing. And I'm only speaking from a sister level because I can't speak from a brother level because I've been a girl all my life. But let me tell you from the sister level, it's very embarrassing and you're laughed upon when you are overly doing things to please your mate and it's not reciprocated at all, right? If you're the one that has taken this person on 5 trips, and you know, and we sometimes say, oh, we split it, or no, he did it. Look, you can lie to anybody but you because you in the mirror knows the truth. If you are one that's constantly giving 5 trips and their excuse is, I just don't know how to book a trip, let them hook up with Beyonce. I bet you see that nigga booking a plane ticket and the hotel room. So let people cherish you back. It's not a monetary thing. I mean, I ain't saying you got to have no extra money for me to come in from work and you have our dinner with a little steak and a little baked potato and a glass of wine, right? So make sure, male or female, right? Make sure people are celebrating you back. Make sure they are celebrating you back. Don't you be the one just out here looking crazy, right? Celebration goes 2 ways. It doesn't have to be monetary. It can be very intimate. It can be very, very, very just, just intimacy for you and that person. One-sided communication. Whoever said it is telling the truth. I have had people that didn't seem to like me, even with with all of that was going on. I could see through it. Wow, one-sided friendship. Definitely one-sided friendships are the same way, and we will be getting back to that topic soon down the line. It's about planning and time investment. Let the people celebrate you because once you back up, and I know my sister told me the other day, was we at work? I don't know which year. I remember you told me, let a man be a man. Because let me tell you something. When you let people be who they truly want to be, it will show you who they are every time. If you truly let people be who they want to be, they will show you who they are every time. Thank you all so much for sipping with a sister, and I appreciate your dedicated and support.